Okay, what is up, cozy neets, ascending neets? If it looks like I'm not looking towards the camera, it's because I kind of suck at setting up my equipment, so we're just gonna deal with it. Uh, yeah, I probably look like a rude person that's just like purposely not giving eye contact when talking to someone. Oopsie doodle. Yeah. That's just my piss poor IT setup. Ooh, because I just, um, I'm real slow. I feel like this should be so easy. Okay, so today I'm gonna do a reaction video to Comfy NEETs experience in therapy. So, because I am slow with setting my camera and software and stuff up right, I am too lazy and do not feel like getting proper reaction video software right now. Like, that's a Google rabbit hole that I'm gonna go down in a bit. Like, maybe once I put out more videos and like I can take myself a little more serious, people take me a little more serious as a channel. I don't even know if I'm anyways. But I am literally just going to sit here, watch it on my phone. You guys aren't going to see it. You're going to have to either see it yourself before or after. Because I figure you probably see it before. Because if you're watching me react to Comfy NEET's video, and we're both like really small channels, with me being even smaller, you've probably seen Comfy's video first, and that's how you got here. So, yeah. Disclaimer, I did already watch this. Yeah, what is going on? But I felt like it had things that I could input some commentary on. So here I am doing it in a ghetto-ass setup. I don't have proper software. My camera is at a weird angle. Even though it totally looks like it's at a normal angle, I don't know what's going on. But anyways, and my glasses are crooked. Jesus, these really are ruining my life. People have been telling me lately that my glasses are ruining my life. You know what? I've grown, okay. I've like secretly, I haven't been vocal about this. I have grown a lot of confidence in the past couple months. So like, I just don't see it. Um, Like, I think it's cute. I look at myself and I'm like, oh, you cute. You look like, you just look pretty, like, adorable. And, like, yeah, a bit below average or whatever, but you got, like, that nerdy but also slightly preppy look going on. Okay, let's just get into this before my ADHD. Go on, Comfy Gang. It's your boy Comfy NEET here. So, like I don't know if you're gonna hear it. Today's video is going to be about my experiences with therapy, and I guess the purpose of this video is to give any needs out there who are watching this an idea of what therapy is like in case they're thinking about getting therapy in the future and maybe can make a decision based on, I guess, what I say in this video. But obviously, take what I say with a grain of salt because I guess every therapist is going to be different, so I wouldn't want to necessarily stop anybody from getting therapy who actually needs it. But at the same time, this video might be like a good reference or something. So anyways, for this video, I'm probably just gonna go over I guess, the whole process of like therapy, like what I did exactly in these sessions. And then afterwards, I'll probably just talk about my personal pros and cons. And for those of you who don't already know or who are new to the channel, this basically all started maybe like probably like almost a year ago, where my parents were recommended this therapist by my aunt because her son had been seeing one, and because he went through some like bad stuff, and it seemed to help him a lot. So they talked to me about it, and I was a bit apprehensive at first for various reasons. Okay. So I totally just kind of like spaced out for a second, but he's talking about how he found this therapist because like, here, let me watch this again, like a family
friend recommended it or something.
And then afterwards, I'll probably just talk about my personal pros and cons. And for those of you who don't already know or were new to the channel, this basically all started maybe like probably like almost a year ago, where my parents were recommended this therapist by my aunt because her son had.
Okay, his parents were recommended the therapist by his aunt.
And seeing one.
Because her son had been
because he went through some like bad stuff, and it seemed to help him a lot. So they talked to me about it, and I was a bit apprehensive.
So I just want to add a little commentary here. I never want to discourage people from getting therapy per se, right? But it like annoys me when people see one specifically because they like knew somebody who saw them or knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, whatever. Because let me tell you, okay, so I got this one family member, right? And like, she does therapy. But the thing about her therapist, and obviously I'm not super close to them, like that side of the family, but it seems like her therapist has encouraged her to be a ticking time bomb. And that's just not healthy, dude. Like, a good therapist will help you get to the actual root of the issues. And not encourage you to, like, distract yourself. I don't want to say exactly what it is she does, but she has, like, this little hobby she partakes in. Let's say she paints. I'm just making this up for a placeholder because I don't want to put her actual business out there. But it's not far off from something like that. It's something very, like, innocent, regular. But anyways, it seems to me like if she's not painting, she's a ticking time bomb. And that is not healthy. Do not find a therapist that encourages that behavior. Like, all the avoidance strategies. Terrible idea. Because I think that's like a very common issue. Like, that's a very, very common thing I see, like, in families who know nothing about therapy or stigmatize therapy, and then they finally decide they want to stick their little toe in it, and then that's what they do. They'll think of, like, these far off people that they know of, right? Like, the closest person that they know of, they'll be like, well, I'll just see what that person saw, who that person saw. And more times than not, that person did the same thing, or they just did a quick, lazy Google search about therapists near me, and then they just kind of went with the first one they saw or a random one. And stop doing that, people. You are trusting someone with something as vulnerable and intimate as your fucking psyche, of all things. Of your psyche, of all things. Dude, think about this. Come on. Like, I feel like this is a very basic self-respect concept. You should be trying out, like, 30. Like, I say, like, a bare minimum of 20 to 40 before choosing which one you're gonna ultimately go with.
It seemed to help him a lot. So they talked to me about it, and I was a bit apprehensive at first for various reasons, but I ended up going through with it because I thought, it might be something worth trying, and some people are also saying that I should just give it a shot because it might help.
So I'm playing the Comfy video. Hopefully you guys can hear it. I hope it turns up on the mic.
So I thought, why not? So I ended up going through with it, and the whole process, I guess, is pretty.
And I just realized, like, this is literally my second YouTube video, and I'm already gonna be, like, not eligible for monetization now because I said the F word and I can't be F'd to edit it out now, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's like you do like.
I was gonna say I'll, like, figure that out down the line, but am I even going to be screwed enough to care? Like, what are the odds that this is going to, like, become something big? Anyways, playing the Comfy video. Resume.
A 15-minute introductory call at the start, and then afterwards, I was asked if I wanted to book like a session afterwards, and then I said yeah. So I think I did a total of 10 sessions, and these sessions were typically.
Okay, so he said he's done a total of 10 sessions. When I last searched it, I saw, through my research, I could double check it, you could double check it, but it seems to me like it takes, if I'm remembering correctly, it takes 20 sessions for there to be any progress for like a regular average person's problems. And then if you have like really bad extensive problems, it takes 18 months. So stopping at 10 sessions is honestly kind of a waste of money. And Comfy, if by any chance you see this, I'm not roasting you. I just like the kind of videos you put out, and I just like putting commentary on things. And like anybody who sees this, I genuinely want to help, because I see this being a very common issue. People will go one time or a few times and then stop, and it takes a bare minimum of 20 for there to be progress. And that's like based on, you know, actual. I know saying like, oh, I Google searched it. That's not like the most convincing thing in the world, but it's like, come on, man, like, because it's not the most convincing thing in the world, right? Like, that's the easiest thing you can do. You can hop on Google and be like, oh, well, how long does therapy take to work? You know, at least tough it out for a little bit over 20 sessions. Like, 30 sessions for in good faith. That's just my opinion. Um, but he also does hit on later in the video about, like, financial worries. So I also understand, like, you may not want to, like, you may think, like, oh, well, if I'm being told to, like, tough it out for 20 sessions, that could just be them milking me for money. I get that. I'll touch on that when it comes in that part of the video.
55 minutes in length in theory, but in practice it was more like 50 to 45 minutes, because you have to consider like the fact that you're going to be having like small talk with a therapist.
Okay. I hate this. This is so true. I did more therapy when I was a minor than as an adult. And it's pretty ass backwards, and I'm gonna touch on this before I close out the video. Um, but it's actually kind of ass backwards because I did more therapy as a minor because I was like forced into it, but I didn't want to. And I actually felt like I either didn't actually need therapy at the time, or I didn't need it in the way that I was receiving it, or like being forced to get it. But now as an adult, I genuinely want it, but now it's just more of an issue of, well, I need health insurance or like access to resources to be able to get it anyways. But what Comfy just touched on in this video.
Of 10 sessions, and these sessions were typically 55 minutes in length in theory, but in practice it was more like 50 to 45 minutes.
Yeah. So your time is supposed to be like say it's supposed to be like an hour. It ends up being more like 30 minutes because of like the small talk and everything, and Comfy mentions this in just a second. Like the small talk and everything you have with the therapist, and them asking you like technical questions, and they do like ask and say a lot of things that seem redundant, and it's just, Comfy says it best.
Because you have to consider like the fact that you're going to be having like small talk with a therapist at the beginning and the end, and like the introductions and stuff, and like, or like, you know, getting into like the conversation. I don't know, like some like neurotypical stuff, and then afterwards like also like booking the next session. So yeah, that takes up some time. And then yeah, my sessions were probably around 2 weeks apart, but then
Ooh,
maybe like for like the first
2 weeks apart. 2 weeks apart. And I'm not just like, this is not a Comfy roast video. I'm actually like majorly crushing on Comfy, so this is not a Comfy roast video. I just, like, whenever I see somebody put out content and I'm just like, hey, I can add value to that, I want to put it out there because people don't know this. 2 weeks apart should never ever happen. No. Especially if you've got like a really bad case, it should always be like for a standard average person's regular case, it should be once a week. And if your issues are severe, it should be twice a week.
Sessions, and then afterwards it was like every like 3 weeks.
Because otherwise, how are you supposed to get value from that? There's so much to catch up on, and it's not going to be possible in that little hour, 2-hour, 30-minute time frame, however your therapist does it, or however much you can afford. How are you supposed to catch up that much? And like people with severe cases, like they have so much stuff going on, either in life or in their head or both. How are you supposed to, in 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, in just once a week, how are you supposed to condense that enough for them to be able to give you good advice? Actually, I want to plug this video content creator that I really, really like. If I can find the video, actually, he may have taken it down, or I might have forgot the title. Let's see. This reminds me of something. Good advice. Maybe that's how I can find the video. Oh no, this YouTuber guy that I used to watch a lot, and I've found a lot of value from, and still sometimes watch. He had a video that was like how to make sure people give you good advice or something, and he's basically saying like common sense stuff. It's like you gotta tell the whole story, break it down, give all the context, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, his, hers, and the truth side of the story. There's 3 sides of every story: his, hers, and the truth. In order to get good advice, you really have to put your pride aside and tell like your bad parts, your good parts. You have to do a combination of both. You have to like out yourself for the parts you really fucked up in, and you also have to advocate for yourself and stick up for yourself in the parts, and be very vocal about the parts that people usually like the people you're having a problem with, or people in life will usually like brush under the rug about you, but like like that's like you were doing the right in this situation. So you need to be very vocal about both of those sides. Because it's like like in life, like you can tell someone a story, and then because you don't have like that emphasis in your voice when you're telling it, right? You're not like being proactive about um articulating with like your tonality, like that you were the right person in the story for this reason, right? You need to like make it obvious. Like that's a let's get on with this because I'm squirreling a bit.
Afterwards, it was like every like 3 weeks to a month, pretty much. And yeah, so after the introduction, the first official session was basically a quote unquote intake session where the therapist basically just asked me a bunch of questions about myself, very broad stuff, like I don't know, like random shit, like what's your diet like, or like what do you do, like are you employed, and stuff like that. And then afterwards ask me a bunch of like mental health related stuff, like what are you currently suffering from, what do you think you're currently suffering from, what symptoms have you been experiencing, and then I guess trying to maybe like diagnose me or something. But not really too much therapy happened at like maybe the first 1 or 2 sessions, because they kind of carried over to the next session, like the whole like interview process. But then afterwards, pretty much all the therapy was done in this sort of like interview style, where the therapist basically asked me a bunch of questions except she would give me like more time to respond, more like open-ended questions, asking me about specific experiences in my life, or asking me about like my train of thought, asking me why I think a certain way, and then stuff like that. And then she would like try and like explore different periods of my life, I guess, to like further like diagnose me or something. And then she would, um, I guess, in between, like she might catch something I said, or try and like maybe ask me certain types of questions to like lead me to like a certain way of thinking, or that's how it felt at least. Maybe like in a way like trying to like make me come up with a solution myself, to come up with a sort of thought or something myself, because I guess the purpose of that would be to make me come up with a solution myself, so that it might be more meaningful somehow, versus like being told to do something. It might, I guess, in theory, not cause the person who's being told what to do something. So I guess, yeah, that was like the purpose of that. And then and then she also gave me some like, I guess, quote unquote, like psychoeducation. That's what she called it. But it was basically more like advice, or like
Quick and snappy note, I wonder if the psychoeducation was DBT. DBT is based.
like life counseling, um, life counseling. But just like, yeah, a lot of like varied advice. I guess some of it was like cognitive behavioral therapy related. Some of it was like about my thoughts or like my emotions and stuff. And then some of it was like evolutionary psychology, like trying to convince me that staying in your room is not a great thing 24/7, because I guess the whole like humans are tribal animals and social animals, and therefore it's like not an evolutionarily sound way of thinking or behaving, which I guess makes sense, because I mean, I don't know, I feel okay, but sometimes I don't feel that great, so I don't really know whether to trust the way I feel or not. But I guess that's that. And then she also gave me like these like exercises to do in therapy. I didn't really cover too many. Apparently, there was supposed to be a lot more, but I only did 10 sessions. But some of them were like these like mental exercises, like visualizing like a box that you lock your like negative emotions, like in case like someone pisses.
I hate therapists who do these condescending, patronizing, spiritual bypassing, passive ass, not getting to the root of the issue. Stop encouraging that in your clients. Stop it.
You offer something like that, I was supposed to like visualize a box in my head or something, and then like
A
keep it
box in
in
his
there
head.
so that it wouldn't bother me throughout the day, at least until I got to see the therapist or something. That's one example of that. And then she also gave me like
I'm even hesitant to say like, oh, that's cool for a temporary crutch, because I feel like it's all too easy to dip into that. Like, you're just I'm tired. But you're just putting that thought in someone's head that they could easily abuse later. Just now, if you would have gotten to know the client a little bit more, you could have seen via who they are what would be a healthier crutch for them to use. But, that would take some time getting to know, having more sessions with the client.
quote
But
unquote like homework.
to off the bat, up front, first day, you're like, oh, put your thoughts in a box in your mind. I just feel like that has too much potential to be damaging.
Like stuff for me to do, like for example, so some of it was like quote unquote like desensitization therapy, where she tried to get me to like
Oh.
like slowly, gradually like touch the doorknob like at the front door, and then like and go outside to open the door and like let it stay open for like 1 or 2 seconds. Probably like a bunch of stuff that makes me look like schizo, but
Okay, so what he's talking about, it's not called, as far as I know, Comfy's in Canada. I don't know if there's a different word or if the DSM was updated. It's, as far as I know, it's never actually been called desensitization therapy, but that was actually kind of cute when I heard him say that. But I'm also simping, so maybe I just think Comfy's cute. But it's called exposure therapy formally.
I guess like because obviously probably nobody really cares. So yeah, but it's just funny to think about like scenes like if you were to watch me, maybe like some random guy like just like quickly opening the door and fucking like standing there for like 2 seconds and fucking close.
But dude, you live with your parents, like they're not gonna judge. Like this whole part of the video is actually so adorable. And even if you do this for long enough that you start to make it out of the house, fuck them people, man. Like,
And something like that, and the goal is to like have me go out more and more.
but I've had like very similar and like more debilitating issues with like being paranoid to go out under XYZ condition. Like if I was too depressed to do my hair, I would be like, well, I don't think the people in the subdivision I live in like me already because I'm young, and so if I go out without my hair done, it's extra bad. And I actually have had some divine bad timing experiences actually. Like for example, one time I was motivated enough that I was like, okay, I'm not motivated enough to do my hair, but I think I'm motivated enough to at least take a walk in the town. And I did, and then people did come up and mess with me, and I was just minding my own business. And it's like, I was literally just having a depressive episode and a panic attack before I left the house. So it's like, you don't know how you're going to affect people. Don't be a dick to people, seriously, because it took me a lot. Like, that was my first time leaving the house in like months, and somebody decided to come and mess with me. And I can't prove that it was because my hair was looking a mess, but I do feel like we live in a, and I know this may seem like, I know your knee jerk reaction may be to like be like, oh, I don't want to hear this, but we do live in a looksist society, so it's just, I really can't say, but I like really my first time leaving the house in months, and somebody did kind of like come and be a dick to me on purpose. So anyways, so I can't like put it past Comfy for worrying about those things, like, oh, I don't want to be the creepy old weird dude who peeks his head out for 2 seconds and goes back in, and like people are left wondering like, oh, what is this guy up? Like, what's his motive? Is he like a peeping Tom type of person? But like, where's he peeping? He just seems to like be peeping out in the open, random, like, so yeah.
You know what I mean? Like gradually, like make me do more like normie stuff, with going outside and taking a walk in the park or something. And yeah, so that pretty much sums up the entire process. And I did a total of 10 sessions, as I said before. And,
Do 20, Comfy. I'm rooting for you.
The last one, I just kind of asked for some like advice and just told me to like keep doing what I was doing. And yeah, so that's the process. So what are the pros and cons of therapy, in my opinion? So the first pro is that given that I'm a shut-in neat hikikomori that's in my room 24/7, who has probably never you know hasn't heard the voice of a woman, or seen a woman in real life, let alone felt the touch of a woman in years. It was nice to hear the silky smooth, sultry voice of a woman over the phone, and it kind of gave me butterflies in my stomach, and kind of reminded me what it was like to fall in love. Obviously, I'm not being serious right now, but um, I guess if you think about it, that might be a pro.
When I first watched
really
this, I totally thought he was being serious, and I was like,
something.
Comfy.
I guess like
I totally
honestly,
messaged
like I
you
don't
on
personally
Discord.
really like. I'm at the point where I'm so fucked that I only care about 2D women, fucking 2D women. which I didn't actually get to bring up with my therapist for reasons I'll get into. But that'd be kind of funny though, like talking about my love for the waifus and stuff like that.
You can do that
But
down the road,
yeah,
man.
that's one potential pro. But on to like the
Okay, I will say this. I want to say this. This is like really important commentary that I feel like I have to put in here, even though I feel like this is going to be long. I feel like it's so important. There's a lot of stuff that the normies still don't understand and are still stigmatized. Like personally, I'm not into anime, but a lot of people will hear people who are into it talk about it, and their first reaction is like incel or like pedophile or like alt-right, right? Like I would say like groups for that are like the anime community, incel communities, because not all incels are like the stereotypical like fucking that Elliot guy. But anyways, this is why you do need to like therapist hunt, right? If you're gonna do therapy, you need to like therapist hunt. See like bare minimum of 20 to 40 before deciding on one, because the point of therapy is you shouldn't have to feel like, oh, that would be crazy to bring that up to my therapist. Like, no, you just need to find one that like isn't an uncultured swine, and that's somebody that you could have those more intimate, embarrassing conversations with, and like they understand, they get it, because they're not an uncultured swine.
real pros. The first one would be that it's I guess like it's nice to be listened to, and I think that part of the appeal of therapy is the fact that you get to talk to somebody and have them actually listen to you, even if the concern that they're showing might be feigned or like might be like an act or something. If you're able to maybe suspend disbelief or maybe get those doubting like thoughts out of your mind, then it does feel nice to be listened to, especially if you are someone like me. Well, I guess like most needs, like I guess they don't really have anybody to talk, you know, about this stuff to, apart from maybe Discord. But I feel like that's not really the same, and even then, you might not really get the same amount of attention unless you're talking to someone one on one. But it's always different when you're like, it feels different when you're actually like talking over the phone or something versus text. It kind of feels like more impersonal, I guess. And so that's one pro. Another pro is that I think the therapist went out of her way to maybe like validate some of the things that I was going through, and that's another thing. Like I guess it's debatable as to whether that's beneficial or not, but from a subjective standpoint, it does feel nice when maybe you talk about bullying,
Yeah,
and then they try and tell you that 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 it wasn't your fault and that there's nothing you really could have done at the time because you didn't really know any better, or like the stuff that you went through was really horrible, and that that it was quote unquote abuse or something. I don't know whether that actually helps me or not, but it does feel nice in the moment, and I think the idea of like maybe taking the blame off myself, was a bit helpful, I guess, because for a long time.
So I totally thought that I was like close to being done with this comfy vid, and I'm only 11 minutes in, and I feel like, how do I check how long it's been so far? Oh, 33 minutes. This has already been super long. I think my brain kind of wants to squirrel right now, so maybe I'll finish the commentary another time, maybe I won't. Let me just put in some closing thoughts. So later in the video, he does talk about like financial concerns, and like I get that because I'm worried about financial concerns with it as well. I'd like to get it. It's very expensive, so I haven't been able to get it for the time that I've wanted to, which is really unfortunate. And like I mentioned earlier, very, very backwards. But led me down the psychology rabbit hole. I never thought I'd be doing like psychology videos on YouTube. I don't even like psychology like that. I just feel like I have a lot of knowledge on it. I don't like it in the way that I feel a lot of people are like allured to it. I just view it as a practical thing. Mm. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I'm always sleepy. Um, that's what we should call me, sleepy neat. Sleepy neat. Um, ascending neat or sleepy neat. But I understand his concern with that. But the thing is, I've been trying to think of a way to say this that doesn't sound like so cliche, but honestly, you're gonna have to blow through a lot of money to go through a lot of therapists to find the one that's the best fit, and that really sucks. And that's a huge gripe I have. I wish I could get therapy. It's so fucking expensive. It's expensive with health insurance. It's expensive out of pocket. You can get it with Medicaid maybe, but like, or you could like text like the hotline or like call the hotline. But the quality of care, because I have texted like the helpline a lot before actually. Um, the quality of care is really poor. Usually, if someone takes Medicaid, there's a reason for that. My experience with Medicaid takers hasn't been very great. Um, like there was this really hippie woo woo ass chick. I'm pretty woo, but god damn, this bitch was like a straight up. Okay, wait, let me chill. I don't like the bitch word. Let me chill on bitch. Let me take that back. But this woman was just like a straight up kook. Like there's a difference between being woo and like you just acknowledge that you're woo, you know, like you can acknowledge it, you can be honest about it and be like, that's just kind of who I am. That's a quirky part of me. There's a difference between that and you're just like a straight up kook. Like the woman was a quack. But the point I'm getting to here is like to Comfy and to anyone else who has like seen Comfy's video or anything. Um, I really hate to say this because I haven't been able to do it myself and I want to really bad. But my plan is if I ever can actually afford therapy, I will probably unfortunately have to blow through a lot of money up front just to like shop for them basically. Try sessions with a bunch of different ones back to back to back and see who I feel the most comfortable with, and that's what everybody should do. It's just unfortunate how expensive it is, and unfortunately, I just wish there was a remedy for that because it's like, well, this is a whole other rabbit hole that I plan on touching on, like the cost of like healthcare and basic survival things like how can they be um, how can there be a better system that makes them less costly but without taking away from like the people who deserve the um, compensation for their labor? Because I know like these days with all you crazy Gen Z and um everybody wants everything to be free, and the thing is that would be great, but like how will the people who provide the services get their compensation? Because I also believe in fair trade. Fair trade is also really important, so it's really just finding the compatibility between everything. I want to find like an integration. How can we make this work for people on both ends? That's a whole other rabbit hole that I plan to explore. But because when I think about it, I'm like, it's really unfortunate that it takes a lot of upfront investment to find a therapist who would be beneficial for your mental health. But it's like you can't be like, oh well, we should just cut the cost of therapy into like 1/3 of what it is, because then it's like those therapists that are really good quality. You know, they really do their job. They, you know, obviously they require, they deserve a fair trade, right? So I'm just saying, I don't have all the answers. It's just like, I'm with you all, like anyone who watches this, because like you really need this advice. I'm with you all. I wish I had all the answers. I don't right now. Um, I'm I want to be able to eventually make a difference in the world and come up with stuff and create change in the world, but that also sounds really far-fetched, so I don't know, man. But just know, like, I'm not saying this from like, oh, just do it. You need to just like grin and bear it and do it. Who cares if like you're too poor for it? But like in a way, it is also kind of like just if you have an income, I would just get it out of the way. Like if you have an income and you are considering getting therapy, I would get that out of the way because that's going to be the biggest burden is like, you know, interviewing therapists. And when you interview therapists, don't tell them that's what you're doing. Don't use that wordage because they'll the bad ones will just take advantage of you then. But between you and I, um, that's gonna be like the biggest burden, like interviewing therapists to find the one that like you feel you can talk to, and at that point, the cost would actually be more worth it when you like come out on the other side and you find the one who you feel's the best. But yeah, okay, so here I am making psychology videos, which I feel is so cringe, but I just feel like I don't know, I have knowledge on it, and it would be cruel to not put that knowledge out there. So, yeah.